Guys will stand there and pretend that size and strength are not enormously related while ignoring ridiculous, overwhelming amounts of evidence in front of their own eyes that they are. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. But a quick reminder, if you'll please click like down below, I would greatly appreciate it. If you would please follow or subscribe if you aren't yet, and if you'd be so kind as to drop a comment down below, I would appreciate it. It could be to say hello or your thoughts on the video. All right, let's get over to the topic. I made a status on Facebook the other day, and I'm going to kind of read it out to you guys what I wrote, and it's kind of funny. And I said, guys will pretend size and strength are not related. I said, but show me a guy who can bench 315 times 10 without a big arch, ass to grass squat 405 for 10, conventional deadlift 500 for 10, and still be able to do 10 plus reps on a dead hang weighted pull up with a 45-pound plate. Who is small? I'll wait. I got a few people who chime in like, yeah, it's pretty obvious if that's the case. They're not going to be small. They're going to be monstrous, right? Anybody who can do this is going to be, barring walking into a pro bodybuilding show or a high-level powerlifting meet, is going to be the biggest dude in the room. He is going to walk, that guy is going to walk into the average box gym and be the biggest mofo in the weight room 99% of the time. And 99% of the gyms on earth, he can walk in the middle of the day. The odds are there's not going to be anybody in there bigger than him. Not saying they don't exist. There's plenty of guys who are. They're not at every gym. That guy's a rarity. And he's going to be big. Okay? He's going to be big. Just because he might not look like the biggest dude on camera doesn't mean he's not going to be big, real big in person. So my point with that, I had people, they tried to pull up all these different things. You're a true power lifter. I kind of pointed out to that guy. I said, okay, first of all, he doesn't squat, deadlift, or do weighted pull-ups. One trick pony who, quite frankly, let's be realistic. This is a guy who claimed world record level lifts, right? World record level, put it in video titles for years. Never stepped on a powerlifting platform. Made videos saying he was going to go compete in powerlifting. As far as I know, he lived in a major city. He could have walked into a powerlifting meet. He probably had 5 of them, 6 of them within an hour of him that he could have just walked into every year. Probably right there in his own town, I bet. Never did one. Never bothered. While claiming a world record level bench press while making tens of thousands of dollars in ad revenue on his YouTube. All right. Yeah, there's no possible reason to lie on that one, making tons of money. Nobody would ever lie and do a fake lift for money. It's never happened in the history of the world. So because that's never happened, it's very obvious that, my whole statement is wrong because you think there's one guy who you're convinced his gym lifts were really big on a single lift. That we still didn't talk about reps and the relationship between size, strength, and, overall workload. All right, see what I mean? Someone pointed out, so this Olympic lifter has this really big squat or snatch. And I'm like, okay, but there's no real upper body involved. You don't have to have, for these movements, when they're technically done correctly, it's hip extensions, quad. So, but where's all the rest of the lifts? And like, you really think that guy is small? So the guy has small arms, right? They show like a guy, whatever, snatching 380 pounds with big ass quads and small arms. But there's no arms involved. Where's the bench press and the pull-up? I want to see the guy flat back bench 315 for 10 reps. I want to see the guy rep out heavy weighted pull-ups for high reps from a dead hang. Let's see it. Oh, okay. But he's got quads. So if the rest of his body was proportionate to the strength he displayed, would he be small? Of course not. So people want to pull these single isolated events, and that kind of displays my point. That is my proof to you that I'm right. So if people want to dispute this point, it's like, okay, but go find me any IFBB pro bodybuilder. He can do it. Well, yeah. Yeah, because there's a huge relationship between size and strength. You would pull anybody at the Mr. Olympia lineup. Open bodybuilding, right now. Take them to the gym. How many of them could do what I just said? They don't need to be a power lifter. We're talking about doing sets of 10, guys. Doing sets of 10 with strict form. Bodybuilders love to flat back bench. Bodybuilders love to do ass to grass squats. Telling me any one of those guys wouldn't do everything on that list for a warm-up? Okay, maybe not the pull-ups. The other list, you telling me any one of those guys that would even be a super crazy hard set for them to do? I bet you it wouldn't be. Like, do you really see Ronnie Coleman struggling with that? Or do you see that as a warm-up? I promise you Ronnie Coleman could have added a plate to everything on that list and done 10 reps. Let me state that again. I am sure beyond a shadow of a doubt, looking at Ronnie Coleman's lifts and size, he could add a plate to everything on there I listed and do 10 reps. No problem. It is prime. Jay Cutler, I bet you the same thing. So, all right, so all the jack dudes can do it, right? All the really jack guys. How many small guys? People are like, well, what if I find one? The fact that you have to search for one answers the question. Okay, so you can go scouring the entire ends of the earth looking for this mythical person who can do this. You know, keep in mind, didn't Wendler joke about that? He's like, look, you guys want to talk about size and strength of the bench press. He's like, I don't care that you have some mythical person who's 150 pounds, who benched 400 pounds that you're sure existed deep in the mountains of Saskatchewan in Canada that no one's ever actually seen in real life. This legendary creature somewhere is completely irrelevant to the topic. Because in the real world, here in the real world where the rest of us live, who go to gyms and see lifters, you're not going to see anybody be able to do everything that's on that list and not be crazy jack. In fact, I'll go so far, let's just talk upper body. Let's take the squat and deadlift out. Because they're going to be big they're going to have to be at a high body weight to hit those lifts. They're not going to be 140 pounds. So we can look at the pull-ups and go, okay. So a guy who's got legs too, he's doing those pull-ups that weight, he's big. Same thing on the bench. How many guys do you know? How many guys have any of you ever seen in your life who can straight up bench without a big arch, just walk in and raw dog 315 for 10 reps, who's not a dang monster? How many? I want everyone to count. Sit there and think of every example you've seen in your life, because we all know people who can do it. Okay? So here's what I'm going to say to someone who's seen hundreds and hundreds of lifters go, well, I did know a guy. I met a guy about 7 years ago. Right, you see where we're going? I met a guy about 7 years ago at this one gym this time who's straight up at 170 pounds or 160 pounds. I watched him do, 315 for 10 reps like that flat back, and I was just amazed. Yeah. But you've probably met 200 guys who could do it who were jacked. The fact that you had to go find the one example and it'd be just one lift. The fact that you could only think of the one you met 7 years ago, but the other hundreds were big old dudes, tells you everything.